One thing that helped me tremendously was to begin to understand and even ask the question of like, what is fear? What is actually happening in my body? All I understood was that I was having a feeling that was mobilizing me. And it felt really real. Like it was like, oh my God, there's something to do here because I have this feeling and it's telling me there's something to do here. And I believed it because, why would I not? That's what it was doing. When I started to listen to this incredible physician from Australia named Dr. Claire Weeks, who basically understood how to cure panic and anxiety, in like the 50s and the 1950s. But as a woman in Australia, her work really never went anywhere and no one really, took it up until eventually a man named Barry, who developed the DARE response and the DARE app, really started to weave her teachings and her work in. And so, but she talks a lot about fear and just this reminder that fear is just simply a chemical reaction. So no different than joy is a chemical reaction in the body, no different than excitement or passion or happiness or anger. Something happens and the body releases a mix of chemicals that, create certain conditions and certain sensations. And sometimes that system has gone a little bit haywire. And it doesn't necessarily mean that anything dangerous is actually happening. But the job of fear is to mobilize us to take action, right? Because back in the day, it was really important. Back in the day, it was like, oh, I feel this response and I have to do something. I have to run away, or I have to turn and fight, or I have to figure something out. When our nervous system, from trauma and from sensitization, from many things, when it's overfiring or over responding or protecting us from something else happening in our system and sending this fear over and over again, it continues to mobilize us in these ways that might not really make sense anymore. So just really taking a moment and taking in that idea of like fear really is just a series of sensations and emotions that we've created concepts around. It's really meant to drive us to change or fix something. That's its job. So if it's doing that in you right now, it's like, oh, your body's working perfectly. Like, great. The chemicals that are released are doing the exact job that they were meant to do. And what we get to do is start to decide now if we need to follow them. And we get to learn about what happens when we don't follow that fear, and how actually we can teach the nervous system and the body something different. So our goal is just to not stop the fear, but start to notice like, oh, my body's having that chemical reaction of fear. It's floating through me and it's telling me to do something. And I get to start to think and decide if I actually need to do something. Something that can be really helpful and comes up often for many of us is we hear a concept or we hear me speak about something and then we relate it like 10 years in the future. So it's like, oh, is Simona saying that like, if a car is coming and, if a fear response comes, I shouldn't follow it. And, it's the mind always sends some sort of other situation where it's like not quite appropriate. And so I'm going to remind us again and again that it's like during this period of change, this is the mindset and the set of tools we're taking on for now as a way to overcorrect and a way to turn some of this down and off. And then as we have a healthier, more responsive nervous system, we do follow our impulses and we do follow our instincts. So we're going to we start in one place and then we actually allow that to evolve and change over time.